I'm going to go ahead and get this started. Thank you for whoever joins. Thank you for joining. This will be recorded and put on my YouTube channel if anyone missed it or you didn't have time to watch it all. So don't feel the need to, stay if you can't watch it, because I know some of you guys are in different time zones. So I'm just getting started here, and what I'm doing is taking a look at EAX, and I'm just kind of get a glance at it and see if there's anything that I'm interested in. So I'm looking for stuff, I would say, with a really high RSI or low. I mean, this isn't that much, really. This one, Dusk, looks good. I'm going to put that on my list. So I don't know if you can see, but right now I'm adding it to a little list here. And let's see, Dusk. Sometimes when I share my screen in the EA stage, it doesn't switch from application to application. Like, it just doesn't share that monitor. It shares that application for some reason. So, okay, I got that one. And let's look at this RLS because it's oversold. And I'm going to pull up some more stuff real quick, too. Okay, whoops. A little technical stuff going on today. Excellent. So, I'm going back and forth to EAX right now. And now I'm kind of looking at this list here because I like to sort it by, oh, see, I didn't notice that up here. I would expect Dolo to be up towards the top, but it's here. Okay, it may be coming back down, but I like to see what's going on here. I'm going to throw that on the list too. And let's see what else we got. Let's try this white whale. Take a look at it. Dolo and white whale. It's a weird name for a crypto. All right, I got that on my little list, and this is just a short list here. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to, well, EAX one more time. And for you guys that are watching the replay, you'll see me switching between apps, but on the EA stage, it'll just probably be showing you guys the EAX screen. So I'm just kind of looking to see what's going on. I did notice that Bitcoin has a narrow weekly, and it's in close proximity to a previous day high as resistance. So I'm going to try to take a good look at Bitcoin today as well. All right, with that being shown, I'm going to switch over to TradingView, and you guys should be able to see. Let me double check to make sure that works for you. All right. So just to triple check, can everyone hear me, and can you see TradingView? I'm going to go ahead and keep going, but if you can't, let me know in the chat. And thanks for joining, guys. So start with Bitcoin. The uptrend has been broken for a while. It was somewhere around here that I said that I believed that, the bull run was dying out, and I thought that it was over. I posted that in my channel. But nobody knows, For as much as it looks like it's over for this season, I kind of hope it's not. I'd like to see a lot of liquidity come in. I'd like to see the price come up and hit a new all-time high. I'd like to see that, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I really don't think so. You've got major resistance here, especially 108K, and up here there's a fair value gap, and there's a range here. It's a massive range, and why I was bullish on Bitcoin, since it had this hidden bull div. It also got back up into this volume range. So it's, it's deviated outside a few times, and now it's up above, and it looks like it's starting to play out bullishly, but it's moving really slow. So there's a possibility it could reject on this point of control here. It's very possible. We don't know for sure if that's, what's going to happen, but so yeah. Let me just double check. Alan, can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Because usually it shows a little animation on my icon, and it shows like when I talk. Okay, good. Because it's not... Okay, I see it now. It wasn't showing it a little bit ago. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So yeah, we're back in this range. Bitcoin is back in the range, and if it gets above this point of control here, there's a really good chance that it's going to 108 and maybe even 115, because that's the high of the range. I'm not saying it's going there, but I think there's a good chance. But there's let's see here. I had some other moving averages. I might have to pull up some indicators that I didn't have up. This one will work. What do we got? Yeah, 50 and 200. But check this out. If I make this a 50 and the other one like a 13. Was that SMA? Let me double check. Okay, I want SMA. All right, let's make the 13. Let's do it like that. The colors won't be the way I wanted them. And let's look at the weekly. I know I've got a lot of stuff going on here. But look at this. When you look at the previous bull run, when you look at the 13 SMA and the 50 EMA, you can notice that like when Bitcoin, even when it came back down and had a dip, it didn't have a crossover of the 13 and the 50. And I thought this was fascinating because look at this. It had the crossover. I don't know if that's like a death cross, but it's something different. These are just different. I use different moving averages all the time. But I just kind of look at them. I don't really trade on them as much as I used to. So when it crossed over, it had a move back up to the 50. And then that's when it really went down to the bottom. But this crossover is kind of like a confirmation. And then when it crossed here, and it was good to go for a long time. And look, it hasn't crossed back down for a long time. But what do we have here? You've got that cross. So this is a rare thing on the weekly time frame. This isn't like commonplace. This isn't, anything to be underestimated. Because last time, you had your bull run, crossover, bear run, bear market, whatever you want to call it. And what do you know? Just recently, really this week, it happened. Because it takes a week. It prints, and then at the end of the week, then it confirms. So the crossover, the bearish crossover is confirmed. But remember, when it had to cross, it came back up. It came back up almost immediately, maybe like 1, 2 or 3 weeks. After that crossover, there was a rally, dead cat bounce, and then you had your bear. So what you have here now is the same thing. But does that mean that's what's going to happen? We don't know. But I wanted to show that because I noticed that. And that crossover has occurred. It is confirmed this week. We didn't get a pump before the week started, so that it couldn't invalidate. That is confirmed crossover. So we are in that time where, who knows? I'm not saying Bitcoin's going down here, but I'm thinking it. I'm not to say that that's, I mean, you know, it's going to take a year to get down there if it went down there, but I'm thinking maybe it won't. Maybe it'll just come down here somewhere. It never really had a full retest of this area here. It came close, well, almost. I think eventually we're going back down here. And what you want to watch when that happens is that, and let's just get rid of these moving averages, it's so messy. Just look at the market structure. What's really important to watch now is this low. And that's why I got all these lines here. There's a order block here. There's, you know, invalidation for the hidden bull div. Because there's a hidden bull div there. I show this, I've shown this week after week. Basically, you know, well, let's look at it like that. You want to pull this one because that's where it crossed. So you got a higher low and then a lower low on the oscillator. So there's a bull div here. It's hidden, but then price is still above here. So it looks like it's going to play out, but that doesn't mean the money flow can't come down a little bit like this. And then, you know, price come down, you know, something like, who knows, down here and come really close to invalidating. And then maybe wick and just tap it or something. But it has to be a candle body close at that purple line or below it to really invalidate it. But it could. And if it invalidates it, that would be very bearish. And it's already, you know, turning bearish. So that's my opinion. Yes, there's going to be little moves up that you can scalp. And I will be making scalp longs. But shorts eventually are going to give you more return. Now lately some longs on certain things have been pretty good, and I'm going to show you that. Because Bitcoin's, you know, it's possibly, it's had its flip zone here, and it's possibly going to have its little move up to wherever the moving averages are. I think those moving averages came in at around 102K. So it's not much, but even if Bitcoin grinds up here, it doesn't make it to 108K. If it grinds up here to 101, 102, even very slowly, it's still going to cause the altcoins to run if, you know, a lot of them are just so oversold, and I'm going to show you some of that. But I think it's possible, you know. Let's see. Ooh, there's something here I didn't notice. Like some touching going on here or something. I never even noticed that till now. Who knows? Maybe it'll wake up here and then come back down. And this could become a flip zone. We'll see. When it comes to flip zones and order blocks, the most recent ones are, some of them expand and are like keep the same level, but the most recent ones tend to be like the best because things change as time passes and the price changes. So your levels change. They'll stay good for a while and then they'll change. I mentioned this flip zone like weeks ago, and it's clearly above it now. But one thing with flip zones is sometimes things will bounce on them a few times, you know, and then run. And it's, you know, it hasn't even really, well, it touched it here. But it doesn't mean it's just going to take off right away. Let's mute this phone. But it's there, you know, until price goes below here and starts closing candles. There's that chance for a bounce at this area. It might not make it down there. We'll see. But there was a hidden bear div here as well. And you almost always get these after a big move. Whenever you see a big hump on the money flow, there's probably a divergence on one of the time frames. And it's right there. So that's a hidden bear. But I think it's kind of played out when you think about it, because like it had this dip here and then it held. I mean, we'll see. But yeah, that's where that would be. Because you would take this would be a higher high on the oscillator and a lower low on price. And when you're measuring hidden bear dips, that's what you do. So it could invalidate it if price broke 115. And that's why I mentioned 115 in the last streams. Not only that, because there's a value area high of the volume range there. So Bitcoin, yeah. Bearish on the weekly. But there's a retracement going on. Maybe this will be the dead cat bounce. Guys, I know like when you're looking at the whole sentiment of the market and watching YouTube videos, you're going to see people, when Bitcoin comes up here to 102K, it'll be like people will be opening their mouths and making their eyes real wide on their video thumbnails and be like, we're back, we're so back, Bitcoin's going to $1 million. You know, they're going to say XRP's going to $800 or some wackiness. But that is just a retracement. We're the market structure is changing. I mean, really, it's going to change on the high time frame when this low is broken. But on these medium time frames, this would have been kind of like an uptrend, and then now this is a downtrend. But you'd have to look at like daily and weekly. So it's still kind of held its structure, but we're really close to breaking that. And the probability of this coming up and then being the right shoulder is high, because, you know, that was like on the daily and the weekly and stuff. Yeah, this is looking like we're at the end of the bull, you know. So if it came up here, maybe something like that. We don't know though. And I don't really consider this a valid retest. It hasn't came down and then retested it. So it's another reason it might make it up here to 115K or somewhere. Maybe a double top will come in. Maybe it'll hit some liquidity and then that'll be it. I don't know. But usually you get a retest of a trend line break. Not always. I mean, this is kind of one, but I don't know. Didn't really touch it yet. And I see it usually a touch when there's a retest. So I mentioned this one. This is crazy. This one looks good. Even though we're talking about the bear market here and everything could dump, some of these coins, like a lot of coins, are like this. I've looked at other ones. And this has a massive bull div on the daily. It's when this thing runs, it can have a big run. It's like an AI project. It's broken the long-term downtrend on the daily with the divergence. This thing is now, like, when you look at this whole zone here where the RSI is down here and it's trending down while the RSI is below the 50 line. These shark fins tend to be good areas for shorts. But once you're in an uptrend, like in this area, as long as it doesn't go below this 50, it's gradually going to move up. But we'll see what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin moves slow now that it's so massive. So it could take a long time and you could catch plenty of shorts, or I'm sorry, even scalp longs. Now, as you go down in your time frames, this is something I failed to mention that I want to mention. As you go down in your time frames, it's the same thing, but you know, there's a lot more noise. So most of the time, as this downtrend was going on, you see that still this RSI, this white line, was spending so much time below the 50. And then whenever it came in, or up above, it put in a bearish shark fin, and that was your entry for a short. So that's a 4-hour time frame. Of course, you want to go down to a lower time frame for your entry, but just kind of look at TDIX and see where the RSI is spending the most time. It's easy to see with the red money flow. So it gives you an idea, and especially when something spends so much time on one side, when it finally gets above the other side of this 50 line, it then has a pretty good move. And if you know, if you would have caught this, because it even had another bull div here, so it has a massive one on the daily, which is huge, and that entails a real trend shift. And then it had one here, you know, there's another one here, and then it broke out of the trend line at that point. And get this, this is looking pretty good in my opinion, because you have all these highs here, and it's broken every one of them. That's my see, it's broken these highs. And you know, this, even if it would have broke like this one or this one, it would have still been a change in market structure, because here it kind of hesitated, then it came up and broke them with strength, and it's holding, it's kind of consolidating here. So this is, you know, a market structure shift. That was, let's say, after the breakout, it was a pretty good move, 81% in 2 days. Now, if it would have went over 48%, I would have still thought it was a good move, because the way I trade is like, for a rule of thumb, I use 1% per hour. If something cannot move 1% per hour, excluding big market caps like Bitcoin, if I'm looking for something to trade, I want to see it do 24% in 1 day, in 24 hours. You know, so when I see things doing more than 1% per hour, that's something I want to trade. And when you get down on the low time frames, this thing is moving. This thing is tradable. It's scalpable. You can make money on something like this. And by the way, this thing has the potential to have a massive flip level here at this weekly opposing level is what that is. So let's see. I drew this line here on the bottom of this green candle body. So it did go below here, wicked on it, went down a little more, but look at how this wick here tapped it, and how it's interacting with it here, 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 here. So this is a good way to tell, like, and now you have this zone, because here's a monthly level here actually too. But you have this zone here, and if price gets above this weekly opposing level, there's potential for it to come up here, and that's a pretty good move. Like, let's say it did get up there. I mean, you're looking at 60%. Now, who's to say it's going to stop there? I mean, it'll probably react if it's going to go further, but you know, you can scalp that. So that's how I got this key weekly level here. And it had, like I showed you, it's got many bull divs on it. On the 1 hour, I'm sorry, the daily, the 4 hour, and on the 1 hour, the RSI is looking bullish. This 4 hour is looking like it's coming down below the 50, but I'm still going to be looking for entries at this area or the one below it, preferably the one below it. This is why I'm mentioning this, and I want to show you so you can, you know, kind of just see what I do. And that's, I like to trade order blocks a lot, and I've been trading opposing levels more. Alan, I remember you asked me a question last night, my time, and I will try to answer it during the stream. So I want to let you know that. Thank you for coming so often. I really appreciate you. So I just drew this order block here on this red candle, because whenever you see a big, say a green candle, just pick the last opposite color candle, draw a rectangle on it, pull it aside, and then look at this on like the 15. And this thing is moving. This thing is so tradable. Like, if you would have had this 4 hour order block and went down to like the 15-minute, and then you seen price coming down to it with the bullish super shark fin, this doesn't look like much, you know, but that's why you adjust your leverage. Yes, CHC, I will try to look at that. Let me Let me put that on my list, and so I don't forget. And let's do it on this window, because I did. CHZ is on Bitfunded, and that is, you know, that one's actually moving for one of the Bitfunded tokens, which Bitfunded tokens typically don't move that much. And wow, that's pretty, 4% is pretty good for one of those. Oh wait, yeah, that's CHZ on the other one. I didn't click on it, but I kind of wanted to talk about Kato a little bit too. But I talk about that one so much. It's not moving as fast as I want it to. But it's very predictable and easy to trade. So you had a bullish super shark fin here in this bullish order block. You could scalp it. You know, that might not be a reversal to get above this key level, this weekly. But, you know, if you had 10x leverage on it and you just set an entry for down here somewhere, I mean, in 3 hours, you had 9%. That's 3% per hour. That's excellent. You know, that could have been, you know, 90%, almost double your money with just 10x. And if you used 20x, you know, it could be even better. It went higher. But the point is, you can set these levels just like I showed you. This 4-hour order block, price comes back to it, and then, you know, you're looking for your entries. Easy moves. And you see this is so common when something bounces and then comes back down. But when it gets here, it's got a higher RSI every time. Like the RSI is still climbing, getting ready to pop above the 50 for a push up again. So like here, it tapped it, came back down, but with a much higher RSI. So it's still, the RSI is climbing, and that's like a higher, lower retracement. You could probably just look at your Fibonacci on here, and then it'll probably tap one of those. Well, it's in the golden zone between the 618 and the 786. So anywhere around here, especially when you look at TDIX and you see a bull div or it start to cross the 50, you would have caught it late on that one. But it's worth watching. Very much worth watching these. What's the hell happened there? My screen kind of screwed up. Yeah, that one came down to the 786. And then you had your, oh, this is a really good example. You had your shark fin at the 786, and then why does it keep doing that? And then after the shark fin, this is something I want to try to talk about during this stream. This is so easy to trade. It's so easy. Like, you don't always want to take the shark fin because it may go like this until this. This is where you enter. And that's the thing. I've mentioned this before in other streams, Alan, because this was your question. When I answered your question, I was saying that for my entries, I'm waiting to see how this fast MA interacts with this money flow line, the middle band. That's, you know, especially when I see something like that. See, it went up a little bit and then it came down. Let me zoom in on it. You see that? It came up and it crossed it, which is usually a good entry. But then these are even better. When it goes down and then say like right here, one candle after it closed and confirmed. So you would enter around here after it confirmed that it bounced on that. That's what I mean by how the fast MA interacts with this. Because if it's below this line, it's in bearish sentiment. If it's above this money flow here, it's in bullish sentiment. So right here is like you're pushing the bullish, recheck into bullish, confirmation candle later. And yeah, it even had another move like down, but look, it didn't even cross the slow MA. You had time to get in before these candles started pumping. See, like here, you had all these candles here. And look, When you see that, when you see the RSI climbing rapidly while price is going sideways, a bounce on there, switch into bullish sentiment, you know, you're probably going to get something like this. And back test it, check it, you'll see it. You'll be like, whoa, I just entered a trade like that, and all of a sudden I'm in profit. But it's the same way with the bearish scenario. But you got to watch. You got to zoom in on your TDIX and see it give you time to prepare. Not always. Like in this case, well, let's just get rid of that. In this case, like the crossover was it. That candle, like if it crossed right here, by the time you got in, you would have entered here. So you wouldn't have got that much. But something happened to my favorites bar. That's still 7%. Oh, okay. See that I'm trying to get rid of this. Yeah. Anyway, my I'm gonna adjust my Windows settings really quick. My taskbar is misbehaving. There we go. Let's just leave it on since it wants to misbehave today. I don't like it to take up my screen real estate, so I like to hide it because I want all the space. But when you zoom in on this, sometimes that's what happens. You get the crossover. Well, let me say this again. Shark fin. Don't always want to enter. It could go sideways for a little bit after the shark fin. But then this crossover right here is where I'm looking to enter. But like sometimes you have this, like that's another reason why you want to wait for a candle close. But this here wasn't a good shark fin. And when in doubt, you can add moving averages up top to give you extra confirmation. Because this isn't a moving average, but like if you had a moving average on, you could, let's see, you could see that it's rejecting here. It broke into that, but then like it had a big wick on the top side. So having your moving averages kind of helps. And like in this case, you would have had an even later entry, but it would have been more confirmed. I don't always use moving averages anymore. I mean, I'll tell you what, Alan had these questions when we were in the private chat, and I want to answer this if he watches the live stream, because I don't always enter on this either. I might say, hey, this is my zone. This is my zone right here, and typically the middle line is my entry. So when I see an order block like this, I can't tell you how many times I see it. It constantly happens almost, where if you draw your order block on a 4-hour opposite color candle in a big trend like this, and let's look at that to remind you. Where was it? Here we go. So that's how, it was 4-hour. That's how I drew it. I'm having a crazy day today. So I looked at the 4-hour. The red candle is my order block. And look at this. I see this so often. Back test it and you'll see. And you'll get these taps of the middle line. That's the 50% line. If price holds below that, it's kind of like an invalidation as well. So when you have an order block, you draw it, you go down to the low time frame. You can enter in here as soon as it's in the gray zone, but you're going to get tighter entries right at that line. And you can test it over and over again, and you'll see what I mean. So yeah, that's it. That I might have just entered on here because Alan wanted to know where do I enter? What's my entry trigger? Sometimes I do enter on the level alone, but I like to confirm it with TDIX. In this case, I'm not seeing a divergence, but the money flow did increase, but it's a good zone, a strong zone, especially since this middle line hadn't been tapped yet. So now on this one, I'm waiting for this because this is an 8-hour order block right here, and there's a lot of volume that was in this zone. Whenever you're looking for a key zone, look for a wick, and this wick taps that zone. So it's pretty much a flip zone the moment this price comes down here. And let's just, I kind of want to get rid of that one. Let's just hide it. Yeah, there we go. If it comes back down to this zone, this is where I'm really looking for an entry for it to go up. So that's that one. I wanted to show that because I mentioned that. There's actually a lot more I want to say about it. But in general, I'll touch on this and try to hit it again. Remember, this is your downtrend when the 50 or when the RSI is below the 50. But as it shifts and these Bollinger Bands and everything start getting higher and it starts shifting into thicker green money flow, usually the first couple bullish shark fins that you get are massive moves up. This thing is just getting started. It looks like you missed it right here, but no, if it hits this area with a bullish shark fin on the 4 hour, even the 1 hour, I'd say, I mean, there's a high likelihood that this thing's going to crunch up, tap this, and then break through this key level on the weekly, and it could make it up to here. I had a very similar thing happen on Cato recently. So let me just look at that. It wasn't on my list to look at today, but I want to talk about it because that sucker's moving again, and I exited my long. I was in a long on this one, and it's the same scenario that I'm explaining here. You got a flip zone. I entered my long right here in this area right here, and because like here, like it was having trouble holding above, and it kept showing, and then this was kind of like wicking on it, and so I'm like, this is a flip zone. I had, look at this, a order block on this red candle. It's always the opposite color candle that comes after the big candle. And then price came back down, tapped it, actually filled it, almost invalidated, but did not invalidate because there's a bull div on this. And almost, well, it'd have to close a candle below here to invalidate it, but it tapped it. And it's like, nope, this bull div is going to play out. And I entered here, like I seen this, same thing. Oh wait, it was on a different time frame. Yeah, I think it was on the, I looked at a different time frame on it for that part. Yeah, like I seen this bounce up and wanted to stay in bullish sentiment. Then it was like, here's where I entered because it came up, or it tried to go below the 50 but came back up. This is almost like an inverted head and shoulders on the RSI here. But you know, when it goes above the 50, it's bullish. And so right here, it was like, nope, I'm not going down that way. And it came here, and it was like right around here I entered. I was like, okay, it's bounced. Because you will get that too if you watch this replay, Alan. That's what I was trying to mention. It's not just the interaction of the fast MA with the middle band, but how it interacts with the 50 line. So I entered here. I was like, okay, that's it. That's the flip zone. I'm seeing reactions to it. It's dipped into this order block, got above it again. I entered along. And it was going great. I was up here. I was like, maybe I should take profit. Maybe I should take profit. It was laid here. I was looking at it. I was like, it's looking good. And I knew, like, the machine in me, the robot that wants to follow the rules and show discipline, was saying, take your profit, dude. Take it right now. And I was like, no, I didn't put a lot of capital in this, and I feel confident, you know, because it's broken out of this long-term downtrend. But like I said, you often get a retest, a legit retest of that line, because this is a long-term downtrend. And it couldn't hold it here, but here it did. And it came up. Not only did it bounce here, that was another reason why I was like, okay, I'm getting really interested in this. or I mean, I entered here. I held it because I was like, I held it here. I didn't take profit, and I was like, should I exit? And here I was like, oh crap! Like I knew I should have took my profit up here, but I held it a little longer, and it got up here, and I ended up taking my profit. And then after I exited, of course, it went up to my targets. But it is what it is, and the secret here is this is one of those coins that's just very slow, and it's not hitting that thing that I mentioned before, where you want to. I like to see something move at least 1% per hour, and if it doesn't move 1% per hour, why am I trading it? Because other things are moving like 10% per hour. So like, it was moving like 1% per hour here. It went 17% in 12 hours. But it's still slow compared to some other cryptos. So I was stupid not to take my profit here and then just re-enter maybe up here. And see how many times something checks the flip zone? Because there's a flip zone here. It struggled to hold it, and then it just retests it a lot. It's not the most perfectly drawn zone, but how long do you want to hold a trade? And I thought to myself, I was already holding it too long. I should have took profit there, 13 hours, and I just left it running for days. And when it went down here, I was like, oh, whatever. And then I exited around here, or maybe it was here, I can't remember. But it broke. It was going to come up to this high, or broke it and came back down. I'm like, that's enough. And I held it for like almost a week, I think. But then, this is how long it takes. Like, if I would have wanted to get 37% in 10 days, am I paying funding fees to hold that when I could have traded something else, or just took my profit here and maybe re-entered here if I wanted? For 10 days, I would want to see 2,400% profit, or something like 240, or 24 hours times 10, 240, 1% per hour. If it doesn't do 1% per hour, I have to just say this thing is a waste of my time. Yes, it's easy to predict, it's easy to trade, it's slow as crap. It's just slow. It was what was that one I was looking at again? I am kind of all over the place with this this one, because I don't know what it is with me today. I'm kind of tired and I'm not as focused. So yeah, Kato was that was a waste of my time. Oh, and Alan wanted to look at this one. Oh, I know which one it was. It was that one I was looking at. Yeah, let me look at this other one real quick, and then I'll get to that. I just want to go back to it because it was the same concept. It was TARS AI ST. This one. So I'm really watching this one. Oh wait, no, not the Thai, not Ta Tayu or whatever. Gosh, I'm having one of those days. Some of these just have similar names. So yeah, this one here, same thing. But this one's moving. This one's moving. This is worth trading and scalping. Set your levels. And then, something like this, like you can just scalp it. You don't need to hold a trade for a week or 10 days. That's almost 13% in 6 hours. That is excellent. And like even on that, you get your shark fin, the crossover after the shark fin, Alan, if you hear this. That's what I'm talking about. Not every crossover is good. Like if I went to the 5 minute, it would look like crap. But sometimes you'll have like fake crossovers, and some things like other tokens, it'll be like crossover like 8 times in like 10 minutes. So those ones aren't as predictable as this, but this has a nice clean crossover generally. When it crosses here, it's going up. When it crosses here, it's going down. But if you have the crossover after a shark fin, especially a super shark fin, those tend to be better. So you don't just want a crossover, you want the crossover after the shark fin. That's my style of trading, since you want to know. That's what I do. Now, this is similar to what Seth teaches in his videos about indicator X, but he'll show you that you look at the 4-hour and the 5-minute. So like Seth would say, okay, when the crossover happens here on the 4-hour, then you go down to the 5-minute and take bullish shark fins on that are under indicator X. And so just to kind of show that really quick, I will draw a line right here's your confirmed crossover. And let's use indicator X. See if it'll go back that far. Yes. Zoom in. All right, so that's the zone where the 4-hour crossover occurred. Now, there weren't very many shark fins here. You would have missed a lot. But usually there is. Well, you know what? As a matter of fact, there was one right at the beginning, because this was the crossover. After the crossover, you're looking for this was actually a sweet entry. Right here's your bullish shark fin under the indicator X value line. This was your entry. And it happened right after the 4-hour crossed. Look at that. Seth knows what he's doing. Guys, when you watch those training videos for Easy Algo, these work. But oftentimes, with why I don't use indicator X as much, is that it'll often hit the value line here and then come back down. Or, you know, there'll be other instances of it. Sometimes, see, like here, if you would have taken an entry on this shark fin, well, that one wasn't it. But anyway, you'll have that sometimes. But if you take the entry after a fresh crossover, not after it's been on the 4-hour above for a long time, like here's the example. Oh, there's no shark fin there. I need to find one with a shark fin. Well, anyway, if this was what I'm talking about, sometimes you'll have this, like, imagine there was a shark fin here, and then you entered along while it was under the value line. Sometimes you'll hit it and then reverse. So this one was really good to trade. But that's how the rules teach you, how Seth teaches you to take your profit at the value line. And a lot of times you miss this big move. So that's why I've just kind of done my own style. But yeah, that is a sweet entry right after the 4-hour crossover. And look at that. I mean, there was even good entries here, like this shark fin, this little shark fin here. Wow, look at this RSI. It's hanging up in the green money flow. It's not going down here. It's in a strong uptrend. Shark fin under a value line. And boom. This one didn't have it. Well, kind of like a tiny one here. Very tiny shark fin. And then you have these big moves. So that's a really good thing. I like this this guy. I'm talking about other stuff that I didn't plan to talk about today, but I want to show this. This is not a moving average. It's trend deviation trend profile thing. And what I'm finding when I use this, by the way, this is a free indicator. And if you go to About Script, it shows you it's by this guy named Big Beluga. And this is what it is. It's I don't trade based on this, but it's great for extra confluence is what I'm saying. It's not a moving average. But when I see a strong uptrend on like an hourly or above, and then I see an hourly shark fin above that, it's usually really good. And if it's a downtrend and you see a bearish shark fin under that, well, I may not be able to find an example here, but sometimes you'll have the same thing in the bearish scenario. And sometimes the shark fin will just barely pierce the indicator. But this is really cool stuff here. Sometimes it'll just tap it or go slightly below it with the shark fin, and you get a nice move. But this is not a moving average. This measures the trend. It's totally different than a moving average. So back to the stuff I wanted to talk about. Chili's is looking really good for something that's like a slow mover, something that you can trade on Bitfunded. So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I missed it. Mowgli was trading. I think he shorted it or something, and then just he'll short it with higher leverage and then get out here and make some crazy amount. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, this thing's in a strong uptrend. Look at this whole zone. Really, like this whole zone on here. And I gotta just make it green. Now when you look at this on TDIX, it's trending up, and then the shark fins under the 50 tend to be good. This one looked like it was going to change direction, but it didn't. And what it did is it printed a bull div, a hidden bull div. Wait. Yep. So there's a hidden bull div there. When you see a low like that in an uptrend, that's very slight, but it's there. So there was a hidden bull div right there. So you want to watch your money flow when you do this. It's probably noisy, but I'm turning on my air conditioning. So this here is hanging out in this uptrend. On the 4 hour, it's most of the time it's in the green money flow. These shark fins tend to be a good entry, especially the crossover right after the shark fin. And here's a good example of why I say that. Because if you would have said, okay, shark fin here, I want to enter, it just dumped. Shark fin here, I want to enter, it dumped. No, it didn't play out until the crossover. But it was building pressure, and it was forming that hidden bull div. And that's what happens when it looks like the price is supposed to go where you want it to go, but it doesn't. Chances are it's printing a divergence, and that divergence is going to have more pressure, more oomph. And you want your trigger for your entry to be more centered here, but you want to watch it on the higher time frame, like the 4 hour, or at least the hourly, but the 4 hour is best. And you start to see it approaching that line right there, like here. It's starting to come up. The RSI is starting to climb again, doing stuff like this. Like it wanted to come back down right here, but then it's like nope. And right around here, when you see that, look at the way that fast MA, the RSI moves, and you see that. Look at that, an inverted head and shoulders on the RSI, kinda. So that's what you want to watch, and because it spent so much time up here, while generally trending up, the shark fins provided a good pullback for an entry. This one with the bull div, and this one didn't have a shark fin, but sometimes when you're in green money flow, I would not recommend this. Some people trade the crossovers from the fast and slow MA, but sometimes it crosses over a lot. You'll get chopped up. But you watching this fast MA come above the money flow and then go like that, and then even do it a second time. This here, these little taps right there are really what I'm talking about. Like when Alan asked this question, if you hear this, so the interaction with this, if it's coming down after a bearish shark fin and it's starting to cross over, it doesn't know what it wants to do. It might have had a little divergence here. Up here it would have been because it came up, like, I bet you, yeah, there would have been one. And TDIX doesn't always show you, because the price went up and then the RSI went down. Look at that. That's a bear div. It didn't show you on TDIX. It doesn't print them all. So you got to kind of train your eyes to watch. So that there was a divergence printing there. But what I was pointing out here to Alan is when it finally went below this money flow line, right here, here's your entry. It wants to go down. It's doing this thing, this squiggle, not able to get above the money flow. Right there, one warning shot, a second warning shot, and then it's like tanking. So watch it. And when the fast MA gets above them, it's like, I don't want to go down anymore, I'm going up. So that's what you're looking for in these. When you see the RSI up in here in the green money flow, these shark fins. And like I said, you don't enter on every shark fin. You take the crossover after the shark fin, and you usually have good results. But when you see that on the 4 hour, I know this is complex and it takes a while to learn, but when you see that on the 4 hour, then you pop down to the 5 minute or some other low time frame. Right there's your crossover, like right around there. Yeah, that maybe one more click, and then you go down. Like, oh, where is that line now? If I can find it. If my internet can handle it. Where the hell was it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So the green line is the 4 hour fast MA crossing above the middle band of the money flow on the 4 hour. And this is your entry area before this move. Oops, what the hell was that? You even had little divergences printing, little baby shark fins. Like, cause like, you had a shark fin here, but look at this. Before it happened, you had the RSI going up while the price was coming down, and that's a regular bull div. So you got your, your line where you're looking for your long entry. You go down to the 5 minute, you got divergences, crossover once again, something like this where it goes up above, like it tries to retest and it's like nope. And not only that, it went up above the 50 line, and then it came like, it's like, uh-oh, it's coming back down, but no, and then it's like it didn't want to go lower. So you got to watch that fast MA. That's your, if you're using TDIX, that can be your money maker. But it takes practice. You got to remember this stuff in the order. Because like on the 4 hour, this whole green highlighted zone was bullish, uptrend. And these were the shark fins, or the areas after the shark fins on the 4 hour. But on the 5 minute, it's a mess, So you're not really, you could look at the shark fins on the 5 minute, but the money flow will help you more on the lower time frames than the RSI. You want to look at where the RSI crosses the money flow. So yeah, here's another good example. A bunch of them. That's beautiful curvature. Let's look at that one. Well, here's this one too, but this here, like in this case, like the RSI came up dramatically while the price came back down and almost made a double bottom, but that would have probably been like a 786 or something, and it works on all these 786 or 886 even. Why in the hell is it not holding? Yeah, 786, 886 area. And then you have you know, that was like a like a bullish retest in the changing the sentiment. The RSI, the bottoms of the RSI's getting higher. Came up, tapped it, and like, nope. Getting above the 50. I hope you're in that long, because right there, like, especially when it comes up above it and it goes like that and then goes above it. As soon as it, like, the RSI breaks that high, heck, you could have waited for it to break that high. Not to say you, I don't know, you got to keep watching it. So yeah, that's as a matter of fact, there's a hidden bull div there too, on the, nope, actually, yeah, kinda, yep. It's so slight though, and this is the thing you want to watch for. And I know I say this stuff a lot. You guys are probably like, all he talks about is divergences, you know. Well, they're present, and this here's got higher lows, but then the oscillator's got lower lows, so that is a hidden bull div. And when it's on, oh my goodness, that's a really good, when it's on the RSI, it's even stronger. See, like, once you take the time to look, and it didn't even play out like immediately. Well, when you start seeing this, and it works for the RSI too. So at a swing low, you look for the next swing low, and is the RSI or money flow different, you probably got a divergence. And you know, there's no indicator that you're going to find that's going to show you all this. You look up free indicators all you want. I've done it for hours, for days. I've looked at indicators and I'm like, oh, this one shows RSI hidden divergences, you know, and I put it on and it's still missing them. And then it's just not showing them properly. And then it's showing the lines crossing where it shouldn't, where it invalidates. And you gotta, if you want to do it like the way I trade, you gotta look at it. You gotta watch it. But the key is you'll save time if you know that you're looking around the lows and the highs. When it looks like you're at a swing low or a swing high, when you see that money flow deep, or if it's high, you're starting to get close to a swing high. But it tells a story too, you know. On the lower time frames, it's more general. Like here, you know, there's kind of like some meat on the bones, you know. And it's going up while the money flow's going down. You didn't have the reversal until like later. And then you had one like, that wasn't what you would have had is probably as soon as it reversed here, instead of, because that's a lower high. Yeah, you had it probably a hidden, yeah, it is a hidden bear. Well, let's see. Yep, very barely. Because remember, when you're looking for these, you want the candle body, not the wick. So right here's the candle body, and the candle body here is just a tiny bit lower. And then the hump came up higher. Well, this would have been a hidden bear here, and then it stacked into a regular. So it didn't invalidate, it held it, and then that was like your entry retest of like a little short-term downtrend, which would have been very boring to trade, by the way. All right, so let's look at these coins from EAX. Chili's looks good, by the way. This was not one I was looking at from EAX. It's another one of those ones that's been down for a long time, and it's the price has had lower lows, the money flow's coming up higher. It looks like it's going to put in a, if this gets higher, it could put in a hidden bear and then go. But maybe it'll get above these key levels and then do it. Maybe it won't. But on the daily, you know, this thing's a slow mover. But it's moving more than most of those crappy movers. One thing I kind of like, but I don't like is this massive wick here. I mean, it shows there's a key level here, a strong key level. But I'm not going to go into too much depth on this because I'm not really interested in trading this because it doesn't always move 1% per hour or more, like I would get with TARS AI. This thing you can scalp on low time frames and make nice profits. But yes, this is at a key. It's at a key level for weekly opposings. It has the potential to become a flip level. It has the potential really to reverse here. Yeah, this could be a short. Don't short anything because I say so. We don't have any confirmations on this, but if the money flow, because it is lower as the price is higher, let's do it a little different. Like if the money flow was kind of like something like that, and maybe I don't know, started going down, and you had the RSI come below and do something like, I don't know, who knows. But basically, you're waiting for the money flow to reject at some point. It doesn't have to be all like this, but at some point, you know, one of these would be like a bearish shark fin, you know, and it usually occurs after the money flows down. And you're looking for something like that, but the money flow kind of starts to push the fast MA, or the fast MA kind of pulls it, but then it becomes like a dynamic resistance. Like the fast MA is going down, the money flow starts to come down, but you notice this is what I'm showing, that he starts to reject on it and starts to push it, and then there's that push below the 50 right here, and then, you know, if you zoom in, you had a nice move down. So that's what I watch. I don't really care about other stuff as much. I'm not that kind of trader. This is how I do it. The key levels are important, particularly at posing levels, especially if you're scalping. But I like order blocks. They help me. I'm not that interested in this right now. I mean, maybe if I want to trade something on Bitfunded, but it's a slow mover, though this does look like it's having a trend change here. You've had a slight break of this high. It's kind of strong, I guess. I mean, it looks like it's still strong. The RSI is very high. The money flow's getting up there. You know, you've had a higher high here. You want to see how this goes, and hey, this is a good giveaway. The bottom Bollinger Band. When you see the bottom Bollinger Band getting up high like that, what that means is even if it comes down, it's just going to create a bullish shark fin if it goes below the 50. So that's usually where you get your entry, like I was showing before. And you know, like I said, when you're in a downtrend, you're looking for a bearish shark fin that kind of tries to poke above or gets above the 50. Like in this case, this one. While it's still down here, struggling to get above this line, and the money flow is just kind of holding it down. But now, like, you never know. This is what could happen. You could have some stuff like this, and then, you know, start getting, oh boy, like something like this could be, you know, if you had your Bollinger Band come down here a little bit, that could be a shark fin that could occur there. So watch it as it does that. If it's going up, you're going to have bear divs too, so you don't want to enter when a bear div confirms. You don't want to enter a long. You know, you're looking at the general trend by the color of the money flow or the position of the where the RSI is at the 50. So let's I don't know why I would wait. I wouldn't enter along on this. I'm not in the mood to short right now. Bitcoin has had that cross. I think it's going to come up a little bit. Maybe I would short something else that's had a killer run, and let's look at that. As a matter of fact, Dusk was that one of the ones? Yeah, it was on a lower time frame. Because EAX shows you stuff like data from the hourly time frame, and it's had a little run. And notice this: when you have a move up and it's gradual, and then it gets sharper and sharper, that's typically where it goes up more and more, and then it has a big swing up. It's not always like that, but sometimes it is. When you see that, you know you're getting close. So I would take a look at TrendX on a lower time frame so it shows today's. Well, I need to go even lower. And okay, I'm not seeing a very narrow daily. It's kind of maybe a little bit. Nothing really special on that. But what you do see here, which is so obvious, is after a big sharp curve up, you know, your weekly TrendX level here, you could have shorted this. If you were watching it as it was pumping, it went above the R1 and the R2, this purple line, and this red line. The way I have my colors is R3. I mean, you could have just shorted it once it started falling below here, but it's not really that big of a move. But when you see how the price interacts at these key levels on TrendX, you know, that's why I turn it on. That's not even a big move, but I'm not trading that one. I'm watching TARS AI because that's what I want to trade right now. But when I'm looking for something to trade and then I find it, I just kind of zone in on it and look at all the details of it. And you know, some things get a bigger move than others, but if I understand what I'm trading instead of hopping coin to coin, which you can do if you trade that way or you're more experienced, you know, I seem to do better when I focus in on one. This is interesting how it got above here and used it as a flip zone with a nice yes, see, same thing. Look at that, even on the 5-minute, all this time above the 50, bullish shark fins. You don't even really need indicator X to see this. It's bullish. I don't think I'm going to short it. That money flow's high. It could just dump. It might, but that could be the spot. But I'm not getting into it, into that one. I'm not really convinced with this one, like what it's doing, because I just glanced at the market structure and it's came down for quite a while. It's went sideways. It's showing signs that it wants to reverse, and